In the chilling embrace of 18th and 19th century New England, a relentless killer stalked the land, leaving a trail of fear and despair in its wake. This specter, known as consumption or the White Death, ravaged communities, baffling medical practitioners and fueling superstitious beliefs. This eerie resemblance gave rise to a chilling theory that vampires were responsible for the relentless spread of the disease. People whispered of the dead rising from their graves to prey upon the living. The symptoms of consumption mirrored the descriptions of vampire victims in popular imagination. The belief in vampires provided a tangible, albeit supernatural, explanation for a phenomenon that defied medical understanding. New England, with its Puritan roots and strong belief in the supernatural, provided a fertile ground for vampire folklore to take root. Stories of revenants, or the returning dead, were already circulating in European cultures, and these tales found a receptive audience in the newly settled colonies. The harsh realities of life in early America, coupled with the constant threat of disease and death, contributed to a pervasive sense of anxiety and fear. The isolation of rural communities further amplified these anxieties. With limited access to medical knowledge and resources, people relied on traditional beliefs and folk remedies to explain and treat illnesses. In the absence of scientific explanations, supernatural interpretations filled the void, providing a sense of control in a world that often felt unpredictable and dangerous. The vampire myth, with its emphasis on the undead returning to prey upon the living, resonated with the anxieties surrounding death and disease. It offered a narrative framework for understanding the inexplicable, providing a sense of agency in the face of an unseen enemy. The belief in vampires, however misguided, provided a way to cope with the fear of the unknown. The stories of vampire attacks often centered around families or close-knit communities, mirroring the way consumption seemed to cluster within households. This pattern reinforced the belief that the disease was being spread by an unseen force, a malevolent entity preying upon the vulnerable. The vampire myth thus became a powerful metaphor for the insidious nature of the White Death. Consumption, as tuberculosis was commonly known, manifested in a range of debilitating symptoms. A persistent cough, often accompanied by blood, was a hallmark of the disease. Victims experienced fever, chills, and night sweats, leaving them weakened and exhausted. As the disease progressed, they suffered from weight loss, leading to the characteristic emaciated appearance that fueled the vampire association. The spread of consumption was facilitated by close contact with infected individuals. The bacterium responsible for the disease is transmitted through airborne droplets released when an infected person coughs, sneezes, or speaks. In crowded living conditions, common in both rural and urban areas of New England, the disease could spread rapidly within families and communities. The lack of understanding about the true nature of the disease contributed to its spread. Without knowledge of germ theory, people did not realize the importance of hygiene and sanitation in preventing transmission. Infected individuals often continued to share living spaces, utensils, and even beds with healthy family members, unknowingly exposing them to the deadly bacteria. The prolonged and debilitating nature of consumption further fueled the vampire myth. Victims often lingered for months or even years, slowly wasting away as the disease consumed their bodies. This gradual decline, coupled with the pale skin and sunken features, reinforced the image of a living corpse, further solidifying the association with vampires. Section 4. Exhumations and the search for answers. In the face of the relentless advance of consumption, communities desperately sought answers and remedies. Driven by fear and superstition, some resorted to drastic measures, including the exhumation of suspected vampires. These grim rituals, often performed in secrecy, were based on the belief that the undead were responsible for spreading the disease. The exhumations were carried out with a mixture of fear and morbid curiosity. The bodies of recently deceased individuals, particularly those suspected of being vampires, were dug up and examined for signs of unnatural activity. These signs, often misinterpreted post-mortem changes, were seen as confirmation of their vampiric nature. In some cases, the hearts of the exhumed bodies were removed and burned, a practice believed to destroy the vampire and prevent further spread of the disease. These rituals, while rooted in superstition, reflect the desperation of communities grappling with an unknown and deadly enemy. They highlight the lengths to which people were willing to go to protect themselves and their loved ones. The exhumations, though gruesome, offer a glimpse into the mindset of a society struggling to make sense of a devastating illness. They represent a desperate attempt to regain control in the face of an unrelenting and terrifying force. While misguided, these practices underscore the profound impact of the White Death on the social and psychological fabric of New England communities. Section 5. The Germ Theory, a Scientific Revolution. The 19th century witnessed a revolution in medical understanding with the advent of germ theory. Scientists like Louis Pasteur and Robert Koch demonstrated that infectious diseases were caused by microscopic organisms, not by supernatural forces or imbalances in the body's humors. This groundbreaking discovery paved the way for a more rational and scientific approach to understanding and treating illnesses. Robert Koch's identification of, in 1882, as the causative agent of consumption marked a turning point in the fight against the White Death. This discovery finally provided a concrete explanation for the disease's transmission and progression, dispelling the myths and superstitions that had surrounded it for centuries. The germ theory revolutionized medical practice, shifting the focus from treating symptoms to targeting the underlying cause of disease. This new understanding led to the development of more effective diagnostic and treatment strategies, offering hope for controlling and eventually eradicating infectious diseases like tuberculosis. The acceptance of germ theory was not immediate, however. Many clung to traditional beliefs and resisted the new scientific explanations. But as evidence mounted and scientific understanding advanced, the tide began to turn. The germ theory gradually replaced superstition, paving the way for a more rational and effective approach to public health. Section 6. Streptomycin, a breakthrough in treatment. The discovery of streptomycin in 1943 marked a major breakthrough in the treatment of tuberculosis. This antibiotic, developed by Selman Waksman and his team, proved highly effective offering a powerful weapon against the White Death. For the first time, patients had a real chance of recovery from a disease that had once been considered a death sentence. Streptomycin's introduction revolutionized tuberculosis treatment. Prior to its discovery, treatment options were limited and largely ineffective. Patients were often sent to sanatoriums, specialized hospitals for tuberculosis patients, where they received rest, fresh air, and a nutritious diet. While these measures provided some relief, they did not cure the disease. Streptomycin's effectiveness was dramatic. Patients who had been languishing for months or years began to show improvement within weeks of starting treatment. The antibiotic's ability to kill the bacteria responsible for the disease offered a genuine cure, transforming the prognosis for tuberculosis patients. The widespread adoption of streptomycin led to a significant decline